April 7th, 2026 started like any normal Tuesday, and then just like that, it was not a normal Tuesday. Photos of New England Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel and ex-Athletic NFL insider Dianna Russini at a resort together were posted on page 6. And they were mighty cozy together. The photos were taken 2 weeks prior, and right after everyone's workday on that fateful Tuesday, an actual bombshell took place. It definitely looked sus on the surface. Dianna Russini was an insider, and Mike Vrabel was allegedly insider. The photos featured them getting cozy in a hot tub, and getting even cozier while looking at the rocky hills of Arizona. 2 weeks after the encounter was when the photos came to light, and when they did, all parties involved started scrambling. Mike Vrabel, Dianna Russini, and their respective employers all whipped out the celebrity apology app as they began panicking to respond. Because in this day and age, that's what you have to do. Tabloid journalists are going to look to put up stories so they can sell boner pill ads on their website. And just like that, Mike Vrabel, Dianna Russini, and their respective employers put out statements. Mike Vrabel was at a press conference where he said these photos show a completely innocent interaction and any suggestion otherwise is laughable. This doesn't deserve any further response. Dianna Russini, meanwhile, said the photos don't represent the group of 6 people who were hanging out during the day. Like most journalists in the NFL, reporters interact with sources away from stadiums and other venues. Steven Ginsburg, the executive editor of The Athletic, said, "These photos are misleading and lack essential context. These were public interactions in front of many people. Dianna is a premier journalist covering the NFL, and we're proud to have her at The Athletic." And the New England Patriots put out a statement where they said, actually, I'm just not going to read that. Now, even with their statements, people were like, yes, this needs more context. Hold my beer. These photos from the resort in Arizona opened up a real Pandora's box of context. It started very quickly with context on what the hotel itself was. It was a hotel in Sedona, Arizona called Ambiente Sedona, a landscape hotel. From the page 6 article itself, the adults-only Ambiente prides itself on being a romantic getaway, boasting on its website about the 158 and counting proposals that took place and the thousands of anniversaries and honeymoons that have been celebrated at the hotel. They have literal statistics as to how exclusive and romantic the hotel is. They had a baby moon counter. Deadass, before researching this, I had no idea what a baby moon was. I know what a baby sun is, but I don't know what a baby moon is. I do now. One Google search showed that the hotel cost over $2,000 a night on a Monday. So with the photos and the context of the hotel, people saw Vrabel and Dianna Russini's denials and went, yeah, you're full of shit. People thought of Dianna and Mike's relationship as kind of an open secret. Beloved wide receiver TJ Hujimama was on the Speak Easy YouTube show where he said, this wasn't an affair. That's his girlfriend. They were dating. Buddy. They were married to other people. That's an affair! And there might be a lot of people seeing this video and going, gosh, we're so sick of this story. And quite honestly, I don't blame you. It's peak off season and a lot of fans refuse to talk about other sports. Semi-guilty. Everything just continued to unravel and there were repercussions as a result. Now, 1 week after the scandal broke, Dianna Russini sent a resignation letter to Steven Ginsburg where she resigned from The Athletic, effective immediately. In the letter, she expressed gratitude to the people who supported her throughout the investigation, but criticized the media frenzy regarding the scandal. Many commentators and pundits kept amplifying rumors, and internet commenters, the wonderful people they are, jumped to conclusions based on things they heard from tabloid tweets. It's unfortunately what the internet does. They gravitate towards drama and dogpile onto the subjects of the drama. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know the whole truth about this. I don't. I'm just an idiot in an office chair who likes making jokes about football. Russini mostly went radio silent after the scandal broke just to allow everything to blow over. And from a PR standpoint, pretty good call. Even if she went back to her regular reporting at The Athletic, the scandal would not only be too distracting for her to do her job properly, but from there on out, readers would question her credibility. There's even speculation that she could do a tell-all interview on 60 Minutes or Good Morning America or Wake Up San Francisco, which is something I would encourage because there are two sides to every story. And after the initial scandal broke, Dianna Russini tried to go back to business as usual by tweeting out NFL news. However, if there's one thing the internet doesn't let you do, it's forget your mistakes. People hounded her, and she submitted her resignation letter a week after the scandal broke. What's her next venture? I have no idea. Now, Mike Vrabel, on the other hand, got off a lot easier.
That's what she said.
Not now! Mike Vrabel had to spend day 3 of the draft at Dianna Russini's Anonymous because, as we all know, one therapy session fixes all your problems. People were like, who cares? It's day 3 of the draft. But that's also when the Patriots drafted Tom Brady in 2000, so it very much could be consequential. Am I saying Baron Morton is the next Tom Brady? It's plausible. Early reports claimed that he was in constant contact with the Patriots on day 3 of the draft. However, Patriots GM Elliott Wolf later refuted those claims and said time away really needs to be time away, which is not the first time a member of the Patriots has had to take time off for having their balls deflated. He spent the following days having what he called tough conversations with his family, friends, and players on the Patriots. A lot of those details stayed private, no matter how many times people were like, yes, Alex Schubert, Boston Globe. So what'd you talk about? Hunter Henry, Robert Spillane, and Drake May were among the players who spoke publicly about Vrabel's remarks, though they would not specify the contents of the conversation. After several tough conversations, everything returned to business as usual, and Mike Vrabel reshifted his focus to running his football team. His players stood by his side and talked about his exemplary character. But not before Asante Samuel Sr. came out of absolutely nowhere to stick up for his former teammate in the most bizarre way possible. This man tweeted up a storm. He tweeted, "Vrabel is a faithful man. Whatever happened in the past is the past. As of today, he is a faithful man." If Asante Samuel is my DB coach, and I give up 3 TDs to a slot receiver in a game, I'll rewatch the film and go, yes, as of today, I'm a good defensive back. He also tweeted, "When I had a wife and side chick, the side piece got in her feelings, called the wife, and told her everything. Got that call at work. We need to talk. Scary!" Exclamation, exclamation. Am I really gonna sit here and make a joke about how everyone in the Patriots was cheating back then? Of course I am. Everyone on the Patriots was cheating. Excuses nobody asked for aside, in the weeks that followed the NFL draft, both Russini and Vrabel continued to try to distance themselves from the scandal. Meanwhile, the rest of America went through their camera rolls to see if they had any photos of Russini and Vrabel together. And oh boy, they did. Mike Vrabel and Dianna Russini were pictured kissing in a bar in the funniest month possible to be swapping saliva. Right after Mike Vrabel was let go by the Titans, they were pictured together at a casino where Vrabel took time away from hitting on Dianna to hit on 16. Reports later came out that Russini and Vrabel rented a boat together while Dianna Russini was extremely pregnant. The report added that they tried to avoid getting their picture taken, and people got him in anyway. Photos surfaced of them getting on the boat, in addition to pictures of the waiver they signed right before getting on said boat. My guy signed it Michael Vrabel. And let me tell you, if you use your full name when signing a document, you intend on following through. If I sign the name Russell Alexander Schubert on a document, just know I fully intend on marrying that mail order bride. They were also photographed together at a 2022 Super Bowl party while Vrabel was still the head coach for the Titans. And guess who eliminated the Titans from the playoffs that year? When Evan McPherson said, "Looks like we're going to the AFC Championship game this year," Mike Vrabel added, "Well, looks like I'm gonna get buzzed and mildly frisky with my side piece." It wasn't exactly the juiciest photo, but it did add fuel to the fire. And like any juicy story with 6 years of drama waiting to come to light, there were plenty of unconfirmed rumors that came about. There was the fact that people around Vrabel and Russini tried to cover it up. There was also the rumor that her husband was the private investigator at the Sedona resort. There was even an alleged Spotify playlist called Turn in the Page that Dianna Russini shared with Mike Vrabel during a losing streak. Now here's the worst part of that playlist to me. A song from Papa Roach's Greatest Hits album was on there. Father Shattuck specifically told their fans to not buy the album. They weren't getting royalties. When Father Shattuck speaks, I listen. That album. There was also the rumor that Vrabel fathered Dianna Russini's child that she herself named Michael, which is either a wild move on her part or a diabolical coincidence. People close to Russini were like, no, she named him after her brother, which means that there is a non-zero chance that when Dianna Russini was in bed with Mike Vrabel, she was moaning her brother's first name. Now, a lot of people want Maury Povich to come out of retirement and be like, come on, he's got to do a paternity test for this kid. And I'm like, come on, everyone. Zaddy Steve Wilkos is still on the air. The torch has been passed. If Vrabel gets confrontational, Maury doesn't stand a chance in stopping anyone. Wilkos does. Oh, come on! He couldn't have waited another month. And not to mention, people started nitpicking Dianna Russini's old podcast appearances, and they found a lot. Like, remember that one dude on Family Feud who jokingly answered that he regretted marrying his wife, but then later on not jokingly and actually murdered his wife? Well, Dianna Russini was on a Family Feud style show where she joked that she closed her eyes when having sex with her husband. And whoopsie-doo, she even joked that her husband was average. Now, in all likelihood, there will continue to be more leaks, but all the new photos will do is confirm what we pretty much already know. Now, this story goes well beyond mere infidelity. The real kicker of this scandal is the business of ethics and journalism. And there is the double standard of, yes, Dianna Russini is a woman who may have lost her career, while Mike Vrabel's career is pretty much safe. That said, assuming there's truth to the rumors of not only infidelity, but having an affair with the person she relies on for information, that is a major violation of journalism ethics. Urinating Tree did a video on the affair and he put it best. He said such actions take away from the neutral perspective that journalists are supposed to have. If Dianna Russini is writing about a team whose coach she is allegedly sleeping with, it removes her credibility and status as an unbiased party, and it damages the trust that people have in her reporting, especially when the alleged affair is public knowledge. And not to mention, it damages the trust that the sources themselves have in her. Now, one of the biggest no-nos in journalism is having sex with your sources. Sex is an inherently emotional / regrettable sometimes action. If you're interacting with someone in whatever context and you work in the same industry, work is inevitably going to come up. If you're an inside source involved with a reporter in a romantic setting, that reporter can very easily be influenced. Confidential information can be compromised. Narratives can be spread much more easily, especially when those narratives are reported as fact. Even if it wasn't intentional on her part, the relationship between Vrabel and Russini very much could have subconsciously affected how she did her reporting, especially about a certain trade rumor. Oh, good old AJB. Now, a lot of people are certain that AJ Brown is going to be a Patriot in 2026. While I genuinely believe it is the most likely scenario, I no longer think of that as a guarantee. If you're a Patriots fan and you see me not guaranteeing that AJ Brown's going to be a Patriot in 2026 and you want to kick my ass, here's what I have to say to that. Get the fucking line. People have wanted to kick my ass for years. Russini herself fueled the AJ Brown trade rumors with very, very frequent coverage of the rumors during her time at The Athletic. Adding in being seen with Mike Vrabel in a very non-platonic way, it inherently makes her seem like a biased party. Of course, journalists have the responsibility of covering news, but they also have an incredible ability to spread narratives. And like I said earlier, Russini wrote about the AJ Brown trade very frequently, which on the surface makes sense. AJ Brown and Mike Vrabel spent 3 years together in Tennessee. The Patriots have a quarterback on a rookie deal, the best thing you can have in football, by the way, and a need for a top-tier target. Philly, on the other hand, has an awful lot of incredible but also pretty expensive skill players. It was to the point that people noticed that she was talking about it before the alleged affair even came to light. They gave her a hard time for constantly bringing up how AJ Brown wasn't happy, how AJ Brown could be traded, how AJ Brown could be a Patriot in the future. Now, am I saying that she wrote about AJ Brown because of her relationship with Vrabel? Not necessarily. Is it feasible that she did? Absolutely. Now, were there times that AJ Brown was unhappy? Of course. His subtweets, his moody locker room interviews, the fact that Kevin Patullo wasn't launched into Pluto, some of his dissatisfaction made sense. But after the Vrabel affair came to light, it made people wonder if Russini was using her writing to make an AJ Brown trade happen by making a mountain out of a Vrabel hill. I was getting that joke in at least once in this video, and you're gonna have to put up with it. Now, Eagles GM Howie Roseman has been very upfront about his views on the star receiver. He keeps insisting A.J. Brown's an Eagle, which means one of two things. Either A.J. Brown really will be an Eagle for the foreseeable future, or trading him is a part of their plans, but he doesn't want to give other teams leverage. If you're on talk shows talking about how A.J. Brown's available for a trade, it makes it seem like you're shopping him and it decreases your leverage. If you're heavily insisting that he's a part of your team's future plans, it's going to take a lot more to pry him off of the team. Whichever team trades for A.J. Brown, whether it's the Patriots or someone else, it's going to require a king's ransom. The Patriots could be a top suitor, but it's just as likely that another team swoops in and outbids them. Is it the most likely scenario in 2026? I believe so. However, it's not the foregone conclusion it once was. There are plenty of teams who need a wide receiver one and would love to have a wide receiver one like A.J. Brown. To me, I just can't picture a world where the entire league just sits on its hands and lets a star receiver go to the team that just made the Super Bowl. If it happens, and it very much could, it happens. But if it doesn't, don't be shocked. Now, as it stands right now, the Eagles receiver room consists of A.J. Brown, a Heisman Trophy winner of a wide receiver 2, who is no slouch of his own, and a promising rookie in Mekhi Lemon, who is exactly the kind of receiver that Chase Claypool thinks he is. It's a loaded room for Jalen Hurts, who I once again am legally required to say is elite. Nobody is forcing me to have that opinion at all. So how could this affect their careers going forward? The Patriots have pretty much stood behind Mike Vrabel this entire time. His job does not appear to be in jeopardy, and honestly, why would it? They just had to deal with Gerard Mayo being in over his head for an entire season, and the instant Mike Vrabel gets into town, they get to the Super Bowl. They went from 4-13 to 14-3 in one season. That is reason enough to keep him around. Him objectively cheating on his wife is wrong and immoral, but it's not a fireable offense, nor will it get him to resign. The only thing that gets Mike Vrabel forced to resign or out of his job is irrefutable evidence of corruption. Was Mike Vrabel using his dick game to get Dianna Russini to spread narratives that would give his team an advantage? Who's to say? If infidelity alone got people fired from the NFL, the league would have 6 people left in it. Quarterbacks would have nobody to throw to. Joe Burrow would be like, my number one receiver is Charlie Jones? Screw this. Actually, I take that back. Joe Flacco would be like, damn it, my number one receiver is Charlie Jones? My QB1's a little bit of a boy. Now, as for Dianna Russini, her case is a lot more complicated. Even with this scandal, she was a highly respected journalist who spent years covering the league for NBC, ESPN, The Athletic, and this scandal may have damaged her career and her credibility. But her NFL career probably isn't toast. There's a possibility that she could go into podcasting, she could even get another journalism job, as there may be another company out there that's willing to give her another shot. Now, I'm a very firm believer that, within reason, people should not be defined by their worst mistakes. We're all human, we screw up. I'm an autism boy, I screw up all the time. And not only do we as humans make mistakes, but we also occasionally do things that are blatantly wrong. There are people who are not going to be willing to give Mike Vrabel, and especially not Dianna Russini, given her position as a journalist, the grace to move forward. Oftentimes as human beings, if we have a reason to dislike someone, we will cling to that reason for dear life. Despite consistent rehabilitation, people love clinging to their own narratives, and they refuse to move past the things that brought other people notoriety. Except Ian Watkins, that guy. So how could this affect the Patriots going forward? We really won't know until the season takes place. This Super Bowl hangover might be a real with the Patriots, especially with this scandal potentially clouding the rest of their offseason and beyond. Drake May claims it won't be a distraction, but what the hell else do you expect him to say? It's like, yeah, dude, we're cooked. And like I said, this at the very least will cloud the rest of the Patriots offseason. Throughout training camp and Dov Kleiman's top 10 lists, it will be the story of the offseason for not only the Patriots, but probably the NFL. Could it affect their plans at wide receiver? We'll see on June 1st, because as it stands right now, their current depth chart is Khalil Shakir with a balloon helmet, the barefoot guy from TikTok, and the only booty that Mike Vrabel doesn't want to distance himself from: Okay, I take that back. He might want to distance himself from him. So will the Patriots get A.J. Brown? Because like I said earlier, June 1st is kind of the magic date for this, as it's when the new league year starts. There are people who might think it's a shady move given the scandal and Dianna Russini's reporting, but nobody is forcing the Eagles to make that trade. Two sides have to agree on a trade to make it happen. And also, they have to turn their paperwork in on time. I'm still mad about that. That said, the Patriots are in a fortunate situation where the rest of the AFC East is kind of in shambles. The Buffalo Bills threw their own wide receiver under the bus and once again tried to sell a wide receiver 2 as a wide receiver 1 to their fan base. The Miami Dolphins have a foul amount of cap money. And the New York Jets, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys like it, you can click the like button and subscribe to the channel for the sexiest sports content of all time. But for now, stay tuned for more sports content that you didn't ask for.